Oh look, I'm back. Are you back? I hope you're back. Hey buddy.
What the hell is that old man trying to do with that enormous pair of bolt cutters? He can hardly get his hands around them.
Let's take a look at what we can look at. Oh, I figured the AC unit would be... Ooh, wall, posters.
Dozens of posters, all shredded, charred or half torn off. This wall must have been used for advertising before the Great Wave. One of them in particular catches my eye.
Okay.
Deodorants, restaurants, cosmetics, vacation cruises. They seem like messages from another dimension.
Okay, you said one of them catches your frickin' eye.
A dirty window at ground level for ventilation. It's the only opening this building's basement has to the outside. There's an advertising poster covering part of the glass at the moment.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's the one that catches your eye.
It's a poster advertising an insurance company. The slogan is, "Tomorrow comes today." There's something familiar about this poster. I'd even swear that I actually remember it. For the first time since I woke up.
Again.
I can say that I can remember something from my former life. Something hazy, related to this image. But what is it?
I got it. You were an insurance salesman. Yoink. That's the sound effect for taking a poster?
It's the silhouette of the soldiers guarding the street from around the corner. It seems like those uniformed psychopaths' rifles are projected onto each and every corner of the city.
Merp. Merp. Oh, another drum, but I don't have a pot lid this time. Why do I want to look at
The traffic in this part of the city must have been especially heavy, but now you can barely hear the sound of the few army vehicles still circulating in the surrounding areas.
There's one traffic light. That does not imply that the traffic is particularly
A few buildings
heavy.
are still standing, but most of them are propped up or about to fall down, with a handful of city dwellers in the street that look like automatons or sleepwalkers. But there's no doubt about it. I'm on the 5th Avenue of Doomsday City.
Dude, my neighborhood isn't like Grand Central Station, with that wrong metaphor, isn't like Main Street or anything, but still we have, 4-lane roads, not the neighborhood street, but, right next to it with, on a street like this with two or more
Help me,
stoplights.
please! Help me! Don't let them find me in the street after curfew. They'll take me to the refugee camp. Help me, please! But don't make any noise. There's a patrol just round the corner.
All right.
But what is it you need me to do?
It's almost curfew. I need a place to sleep. I need a place to hide, or they'll send me to the refugee camp. Don't you understand?
Do you understand?
What is all this about a curfew?
At curfew, the soldiers want the streets cleared. And the way they see it, if you're out on the street after curfew, it means that you've got nowhere to go. You don't have a home. You don't belong here. And that makes you a rat. And so they take you to the refugee camp.
Oh dear.
I can't go to the camp. Understand? I can't go there.
Sure you can. It's right over there.
You need a roof over your head, and you don't have anywhere to go.
I used to, but it doesn't exist anymore. I owned an apartment a few blocks from here. The block was badly damaged by the Great Wave, but it was still standing.
And what happened to your home?
This morning we had to evacuate the area in a hurry. We ran out in the streets with whatever we had on. Apparently, the foundation was starting to crumble. And a few hours later, all that was left of my home was a pile of smoking rubble, with 40 years of memories buried beneath it.
Oh.
But I can't let them take me to the camp. I need to get into another house before the curfew. Please, help me.
Help me help you.
Okay, give me those bolt cutters. I'll see what I can do.
This house was empty, but the army has sealed it off. If I can just get this padlock off before curfew, I'll be safe.
But if the army
I
sealed
need
it,
to get in here.
they know it's supposed
But
to be
please,
chained shut.
Don't make too much noise. If the soldiers find us, they won't hesitate to kill us.
Free bolt cutters.
Impossible. I'm sorry. I can't do anything with this.
I need to get in there. I need to get in.
I'm looking for a place. Something like a pharmaceutical warehouse. Would you know anything about that?
I don't really know. There's a small medical center just outside the city limits. I suppose you mean that, right? They built it in a hurry, just knocked it together after the Great Wave. No one really knows what it's for, but there are vehicles going in and out of the place all the time. Whatever they're doing in there, they're keeping it very secret. Not even my daughter would tell me what goes on inside.
Did you say your daughter?
Yes, my daughter. My little Uma. She works there as a nurse. I'm afraid she left me. I suppose she got tired of living with a frail, sick old man like me. Because one day she simply left the house, and I haven't seen her since. It's been months now. I think she was right to leave me. These times are hard enough. You don't want to burn yourself with someone like me.
I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Help me, please.
I just said.
A dirty window at ground level for...
Oh, okay. Same as before.
It looks like this heating technology is not limited to the refugee camp. These bonfires are used here too, and their emissions are just as toxic here as they are there. What the hell could they be burning in them? 3 people warming themselves by the fire. They stare into the flames, as if their thoughts were also burning in that rusty old drum.
Again, you like, maybe you were a narrator in your previous life.
Hello, friend. You look lost. Come over by the fire.
It's dying down, but maybe it'll last until curfew.
As long as those uniformed psychopaths don't decide to end our little get-together first, of course.
Hey, look! One of those magic bracelets from the camp. They say that place is a real hellhole. A kind of living death. So, you've come back from the dead. Do they call you Lazarus?
Well, you could put it that way. Why are you afraid of the soldiers? I'd heard that things function better here.
I don't know where you heard that, friend, but whoever told you that was lying. Here, things are very ugly and getting uglier every day. Everything's in short supply: water, food, medicine.
We have a surplus of just 2 things: misery and violence. Life is cheap here, and getting cheaper all the time, especially since the army took over.
The army. I see. And what happened to the other authorities? The politicians? The laws?
Those are distant memories from the old world, my dear. Get them out of your head, because all that collapsed like a house of cards.
Hey, House of Cards is a great
wave.
Show.
No one's got any plan, strategy. We're all adrift.
He's right. The most reliable thing we have left is what you see around the corner. Armed teenagers in uniform on the streets, on the rooftops, just as scared as we are, or more, and shooting anything that moves.
I think our common destiny is to finally die of starvation, of disease,
I'm gonna call you
or
Chuckles.
boredom. I don't know which of the 3 options I find the most cruel. Who knows? Maybe the most sensible thing is to organize a group excursion and break into Suicide Park.
Suicide Park? Don't call it that. It's not funny. That name's as stupid as that hospital they built in such a hurry next to it. It's crazy. The entire city is starving and sick, and the soldiers keep those medical facilities locked up like Fort Knox.
Well, yeah, there's more people than supplies.
You were saying something about a curfew. What time does it start exactly?
Well, it depends on the mood of the soldiers in this zone. But you know it's time to go home when they start taking their guns out of their holsters.
Today they're extremely jumpy. I don't think it'll be long before they start insulting people and hitting them with their rifle butts.
You can't
You
holster
guys are
well,
awfully
actually, they're
hard
rifle
on them.
holsters.
It's just their crude way of showing us affection.
Yep, you're Chuckles.
Oh, shut up. In any case, you don't have to worry. That bracelet means you don't have to hide from them. You know that's one of the privileges that comes with it.
And you? Do you people have to hide?
We try to stay out of their way. The first rule is, be home before curfew. Anyone who isn't gets dragged off to refugee camp. That's one of the strictest laws the Great Wave imposed upon this city.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
And do you know how things are elsewhere? Do you get news from outside?
I'm afraid not. With no communications or transportation, and with the army on every corner, we are totally cut off.
Who cares anyway? When you don't know from one day to the next if you're gonna be alive, there's no time to worry about what happens 100, 1,000, or 100,000 miles away.
I understand.
Alright.
But what good is it having medical facilities if no one can use them? I don't understand.
No one does, friend, but that's the way it is. I don't know why anyone would want to go into that building, but I can assure you that they're not going to get treated for anything in there, not even for a miserable cold.
Besides, it's a real fortress. The person will be more likely to come out sick from an overdose of gunpowder and lead. You know how it is, dear. There's no cure for love or death. Hey, I like that last phrase. It would make a good opening line for a story.
Oh, will you shut up for once, Ramon? Don't pay any attention to him. In the old world, he earned his living writing stories, and he still thinks that all that waste paper might someday be useful after the Great Wave.
And in fact, it is. A good deal of that scrap paper is fueling this bonfire right now, dear. So I can consider my literary career to have been worthwhile.
I only hope I can be that lighthearted if something like this happens.
Did you say Suicide Park? Someone in the camp told me about that place.
And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I.
Oh wait,
When
he's
the
called me
sun
deer. He's
departs
hitting on me
from
too.
Suicide Park.
No, he calls everybody
Yes,
deer.
I recognize the song. But what the hell is it? Is there really a place with that name?
Not officially.
Yes, it exists. After the Great Wave, and when things were starting to get really ugly here, the weakest among us eased their suffering with a bullet, by overdosing, or by jumping from high places. You know how it is. All those dark stars had a hard time finding a reason to go on living.
There was a terrible wave of suicides, and there still is.
The problem is at some point a problem arose. How should I put it? A serious logistical
God, are the bodies
problem.
Bodies piled up?
Access to drugs and firearms became practically impossible. So the easiest thing was to grab a rope or a belt and go to Suicide Park after dark.
There was a time when it was hard to find a free branch anywhere in the park.
The suicides in the area multiplied at such a rate that the army closed down the park. They said for public health reasons.
For months, the only thing blooming in that park were the corpses of the hanged. The place became more like a theme park. Lots of fun for everyone.
I told you not to make jokes about that. Don't you have any respect for anything?
And they had
Of
to lock
course
up the
not.
park to keep
That was
Logan Paul
one of
out.
the many things I lost in the Great Wave. And one of the things I missed the least, believe me.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks for the company, friend.
Dude, that guy is awesome. All right. Diddly 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 dee. Church.
Judging from what remains of the stained glass windows and the murals, this pile of rubble must have been a place of worship before the Great Wave struck. Now it's one of the most badly damaged buildings in the area. There are hardly any walls still standing.
Oh, there's more stuff. Subway.
What was formerly
Eat
the
fresh.
entrance to a subway stop is now a bunker reinforced with bricks and cement. A moldy sign says, "Subway service suspended until further notice." I imagine the train tunnels were flooded or ruined after the Great Wave.
Or they're full of Morlocks.
A metal sign bolted to the wall. It's the logo of the local subway system, and from what I can see, one of the edges is slightly detached.
Probably
Let's
gonna-
see. I can try to rip it off. Nothing. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get it off with my hands.
Let's check out the church before we go elsewhere. Is Father What's-His-Name going to be in here? Yes? No? Maybe? I don't know. Can you repeat the question? You're not the boss of me now, and you're not so big. Doodly-doo-doo-doo. Ugh.
Send us a sign, Lord. We need a sign from you.
I tried to get the
Wait a
sign.
minute.
It's bolted.
I know that voice.
Are we guilty of arousing your rage? Did we do it? Speak with your tongue of fire, Lord. Purge us with unrelenting justice. Send us a sign.
Again, the sign is bolted to the wall.
Is this our doing? Are you punishing us for our arrogance? Unleash your thunderous voice, Lord. Release us from this intolerable uncertainty. Did we do it? Send us a sign.
I'm getting a strong impression that man's a fanatic and a little bit deranged.
Yes, he's
but
a
his
religious
sermon
figure.
made me curious.
I'm sorry.
What could he
I
mean
apologize.
by "we did it"?
Illuminate
What they
us
always
with your
mean.
fiery voice, Lord.
God is love,
Send
unless
us
he's
a
mad, and then he'll
sign.
punish anybody, apparently. Just
The
according to...
catastrophe caused a lot of damage to the statue's pedestal. The fact that the statue is still standing is a miracle.
I'll be honest, I'm not that
The thunderous
against
voice
all
of
religious
your
people, just like the
angels
kind,
through
for
the
pedestal
example,
definitely wobbles when I
That
push
is your
against it.
blame
sign.
tragedies on gay people existing and whatnot.
Considering the condition of the rest of the church, it's amazing that the stained glass window is still in place and practically intact. Such little light that gets in from the street gives it a ghostly
The
appearance.
thunderous voice of your angels
A few
through the
parishioners
gash.
listen to the words of the
That is
preacher,
your sign.
mesmerized. Although I'm sure that, like me, they can't decipher the meaning of his mystical rants either.
Wait. Whoa.
Illuminate us with your fire.
Oh no. It's starting again.
It's different this
It's
time.
amazing. Everything's changing. Everything. Everything is mutating. And I haven't even moved. I don't understand. I don't understand anything.
That's okay, I don't either, and I do okay.
Seated on these disarranged pews, some people are listening to the preacher. Others just nod off. I guess they don't have anywhere else to go.
Are we the guilty ones?
That must be Reverend Blake, the preacher I heard about in the camp. I don't understand a word of that man's sermon. And I'm afraid the other faithful don't either. Could that be the reason why everyone reveres him so much?
The ruins of
I
the
guess that's how
temple,
politics
the
works.
This
light
enormous
above
stone
the
cross
flame.
casts a
We
giant
still
shadow
have
across the aisle of the
time.
church. Perhaps that wasn't the original intention, but the result is pretty gloomy and menacing.
I don't think they intended to be gloomy and menacing. I think they intended to be kind of... Is there a positive
Did
word
we
for
do it?
intimidation?
Are we the guilty
I'm not going to
ones?
interrupt him in the middle of his sermon. That would be rude.
Oh.
This column fragment must have fallen off one of the walls during the
Illuminate us
catastrophe.
with your fiery
Now it's keeping the
voice,
pedestal of the
Lord.
statue company.
Send us a sign.
Anything else? Nope. This was a waste of your time and mine. Alright. Let us see what lurks on the next screen, for we must find our way. Centenarian tree stump. Manhole.
It's one of the ways into the city's sewer system. The Great Wave wrecked this place. Did the same thing happen down there?
If there's a great wave in the sewer, it's probably a lot grosser than the one that was up here, dude.
So, let's see.
You're not gonna... Oh.
Impossible. It's not that it's super heavy. It's that there's hardly any place to insert your fingers to lift this manhole cover.
Gonna need a pry bar.
Closed for public health reasons is written on this piece of wood nailed to the stump. Wait a minute. Health? With no A?
Hey, I can close something
Judging
for
from
health
its
reasons.
girth, this giant must have lived for hundreds of years before someone got the bright idea of cutting it down. Now the stump is guarding the entrance to the park.
How do I get in? I guess I'm stumped.
Someone went to a lot of trouble to weld the front gate of the park shut. I'm afraid that access is totally and hopelessly blocked.
Oh, I wanted to kill my... No, I don't. That's not funny.
A bucolic fountain covered with ivy and moss. The park's desolation gives it an air of mystery from the side of the fence. In its day, it must have been home to a school of goldfish, which I suppose are now gradually decomposing inside it. It's rather disconcerting to see such a small building surrounded by such extreme security measures. Could this be the medical center people have been telling me about?
Judging by the mouse over, yes. Oh, and only big buildings get to be?
Strange. The soil here seems darker and less packed than the soil around it. In fact, the mud in this part of the ground is a bit damp and mushy. My fingers even leave marks in it when I touch it.
So the fountain is leaking?
You can smell these dead creatures from several yards away. I have no intention of picking up those rotten fish with my hands, to say nothing of putting them in my pocket.
Okay, you'll be hungry enough eventually. Alright, let's head back. I don't like this place. It's stinky and foul. Yeah, don't want to go that way. What do I have in my inventory? Rusty nails, and a plank, and a poster. Can I use the nails to pry up the sign? It might if it were one nail.
It's not that securely attached to the wall, but I need something stronger to tear this sign down.
Yeah. Let me see.
Use this here?
Are you asking me how you use a sign? Wow, you're a dumb.
This plank...
Can I pick the lock?
I don't think I'd gain anything by using this here.
Evidently I don't pick the lock. I'm not sure what they want me to do. I do know that I don't... Yeah, no, the nails aren't going to help me here. Will this just take me back to the Refugi camp? I'm going to assume so. Bang, bang, yeah. That's just Camp Refugi again.
From time to time, the old man with the bolt cutters peers at the shadows, absolutely terrified. Those savages have become an even greater problem for these people than the Great Wave and its aftermath.
One thing I forgot.
Did we do it? Are we the guilty ones?
Aha.
A handful of tiny shards of brightly colored glass, the remains of the stained glass window on this side of the church, destroyed by the Great Wave.
Yes, and they're pick-upable.
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the flames. We still have time.
Alright. That'll get me in there. Let me try something. Can I dig with glass?
Good idea. I can try to remove the damp earth with these shards of glass.
That's what I thought.
I've managed to excavate a little bit, but these shards of glass are too small and blunt. Maybe I need something bigger that cuts better to make a decent hole.
Well, he referred to the sign as a plank.
The thunderous
I didn't think of it that way, but it is.
Goes through the gash. That is your sign.
Here we go.
Let's see. If I wedge one of the ends of the plank under the statue's pedestal, the other part will rest directly on the base of the toppled column.
Give me a lever and a place to stand, and I can move the world.
Voice, Lord. Send us a sign. We're waiting, Lord. Did we do it? Illuminate us. Send us a sign with your just and vengeful arm. Is this our fault? Listen! It's the fiery breath of God. The Lord has sent us his sign. And I was right. It is all our fault. We did it, and we have aroused his fury.
But what the hell's going on here?
Look! That's the sign! Forgive us, Lord. Forgive us. Repent, all ye sinners!
It's
Sauron
the
is
atmospheric
pissed.
phenomenon I've been hearing so much about. That infernal sound coming from the crack in the sky. It's terrifying.
That is the sign! We did it! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us! My children, God has spoken to us with his darkest voice. Haven't you heard him? But there's still time. All is not lost. We still have time. Salvation lies in the place where it all began, in the ruins, at the source. We must return to the ruins of the temple. We must return.
Must we now?
Must.
Sounds like he's fallen asleep.
Among all the fragments of the stained glass window scattered on the floor, there's one big piece of glass. Well, look at that. Next to this enormous hunk of glass, the colored glass shards I picked up earlier look ridiculous. I'd better get rid of them.
Alright.
A handful of parishioners scattered inside the church. I guess they're hoping that Reverend Blake will deliver one of his famous sermons.
Where did the Reverend go? Oh, there he is. He's sitting right there next to the old lady. Hello.
Hello. I heard your sermon and...
Yeah, God has shown us his sign. He has finally spoken to all of us.
No, I used
With
the
his
sign to topple...
thunderous voice,
Never mind.
he has revealed the unknown. We did it. It's all our fault. We did it. But there's still time. All is not lost. There's still time to avoid it. The head of the lion above the flames holds the key to everything.
What is it we did?
What is it we did?
What did we do?
Time's the will of God. It is his heart and his hammer. The centuries and the ages belong solely to him.
You would say that.
The celestial empire is a divine clock. Time rotates around God. Its hands are his angels and archangels.
That's kind of pretty,
Now
actually.
I see it all clearly. How could we have been so stupid? Our arrogance had enraged him.
Oh dear.
That's what we did.
This man is definitely crazy. Nothing he says makes any sense.
I beg you,
No,
leave my brother
it
in
makes
peace.
sense.
He's very upset.
Tell me, what is it that we can still prevent?
The wrath of God, the destruction of man. There's still time. We did it, but we still have time. The key is in the ruins of the temple. We have to find the ruins of the temple. Look for the head of the lion above the flames.
Right.
Bring me the head of the lion above the flames while there's still time.
But this church is already in ruins. It hardly has any walls or a foundation left. You're already in the ruins of the temple.
No, you're mistaken. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames.
That's enough. Stop tormenting my brother. He's exhausted.
The head of the lion above the flames?
I'm not
That sounds
tormenting
absurd.
him.
It makes no sense. What signs are you referring to?
The dark angels of God clamor madly through the open wound that is bleeding the kingdom of heaven dry. Haven't you heard? They were speaking with a thunderous voice. God is furious.
Yeah, I heard. The bird is the word.
That is his sign.
I suppose in his delirium, the man has mistaken that strange sound coming from the gash in the sky left by the great wave as a sign from the heavens. He's definitely lost his mind.
Please be so kind as to leave us in peace. Can't you see that my brother is very agitated?
I'm not trying to be offensive here. I'm really not, but he's not...
I think it's best that I leave you in
He's
peace.
not that...
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave my brother in peace.
There's still time. There's still time. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames.
I'm not insulting any religion in particular, but he sounds, you know, very sure of what he's saying, just like every religious whatnot I've ever known. Alright, I got a bigger digging chunk. My digging shard.
I'll do this very carefully, so that the glass doesn't break in two.
Yes, you do not want your glass in twain.
Perfect. The hole I've dug is big enough to get to the other side of the fence.
I don't know if I want to go into this park. It's going to be all gross. I already know he won't pick up the fish.
Southside Park.
Southside.
Would you believe it? This must be the famous suicide park I've been hearing so much about. Huh. The pun is as witty as it is macabre.
No, ironically, Suicide Park's on the north side. This is Kill Yourself Park. The difference is all semantic. Ugh. Oh.
Good God. There are dozens, hundreds of corpses hanging from the branches.
Ugh, centipede.
What could have drawn all these people here? What kind of pain?
The world
What kind of
ending?
desperation brought them here? These are the corpses of ordinary people who were living their ordinary lives in their ordinary little worlds up to a very short time ago.
By the decay,
Could
I would
any of them
say
have
it was
imagined meeting an end like this back
not
then?
that short.
Forgotten and nameless, swaying in the breeze like marionettes. And all those savages in uniforms did was close the park. They didn't even bother to cut their bodies down from the trees. I'm afraid that tonight there are too many dark stars to count
Bullcrap.
in Suicide Park.
Bullcrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Too many to count.
Although the crows have already done a thorough job on him, from what's left, I'd say that the corpse belongs to a young man, barely of legal age, one of the many dark stars in the park.
Well, he's legal. You know what that means. Okay, oh, that's a horrible joke.
That strikes me as disrespectful, and I don't think would do anything for me.
I've already made a Logan Paul joke. I'm not going to make another one.
An iron crowbar buried like a stake. Right now, the other
Steak.
end is around the neck of a corpse.
Yoink. Okay, I'm going to call it bullcrap. If it was that easy to pull out, it would have been yanked out when he hung himself.
A rotting bench overlooking purgatory. It looks like the kid who hanged himself from this tree climbed up on this and then jumped with the rope around his neck.
I really hate this place. Oh, man.
Wait a minute. That guy is... the suicide victim who was hanging from this tree.
Oh,
No,
God.
don't do it, please.
You're seeing flashes
No!
of things.
Good God. I saw him hang himself.
We've got the dissolving. We've got the dissolving.
This vegetation is so dense that all you can see are some flattened metal posts in there.
'Cause
There's
remember
no
they get
doubt that
visions?
nature has taken over this corner of the city. So much so that I'm afraid that this is the end of my little stroll. The trees and bushes are so close together here that I can hardly push the branches to one side with my hands. The thorns in these bushes are jabbing into me like metal spikes. I'm not going to be able to open up a path this way.
Alright, I'm going to call it here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, or subscribe. Or not. I'm not the boss of you.